armor and weapons. I kind of want to talk a little bit about that because sometimes like armor is kind of hard to understand. There are essentially three types of damage for armor that it can. There's like a physical resistance, an energy resistance, and a radiation resistance. Each piece of armor has different attributes based on if it's like a full outfit body that has like your arms and legs and chest. It could be just a specific piece that you have equipped. Any like attack that's made against you, most of the time it's going to be physical. Sometimes it could be radiation. Sometimes it could be energy. You essentially take back. So let's say they do 5 damage against you, and it was a mole rat, and he bit you, and you have a DR of 2. That means that they only damaged you for 3. So it's deductive over that time period.
Yep. And then we had talked about penetrating a little bit earlier. So if they had penetrating and rolled those effects, that reduces the effectiveness of your armor. So more of that damage actually gets through.
Power armor is a little bit different, and we had to learn on the fly for a lot of this.
So clothing is different from outfits, is different from armor, is different from power armor. Like they're all different. So clothing, you can wear armor over clothing.
Yes.
But you can't wear armor over outfits. So outfits are like the Brotherhood of Steel fatigues or the Scribe's armor, the Drifter outfit, formal clothing, heavy coat, hides, spike armor. All of these are sort of set pieces that just kind of exist. Now, I think the outfits, you might be able to modify them a little bit.
I think you can use a weave on those. I think that there is a weave in the book. I'll have to check.
And then you have clothing. So you just have like your Brotherhood of Steel uniform, vault jumpsuit, road leathers, tough clothing, anything that's just kind of goes underneath. Then you can put armor on top of that. And when you do that, you basically look at the best bonus that either of those pieces give you. So let's look at a vault jumpsuit, which gives you 0 physical, 1 energy, and 2 radiation. If you put metal armor over that, which doesn't provide any radiation protection, the vault suit's radiation takes precedent versus the metal armor providing a lot of physical resistance, in which case it takes precedent. So they're not additive. You just take the best bonus from each one. And then there's also headwear, because most of the outfits and most of the clothing, well, all the outfits and all the clothing do not have any type of headwear. So they just kind of assume that you don't have anything on your head. So you can put different headwear on. And this ranges from like army helmets, Brotherhood of Steel hoods, casual hats, gas masks, welder's visor, all these different things that you can put on your head to give your head protection, because there's a 10% chance that attack will hit your head, and you do not want to be crit there.
What was that? I'm trying to think. We ended up giving Pep a helmet, right? Because he kept on getting attacked in the head. Because he only has power armor for his whole body, but he doesn't have anything in his head. And the creatures kept on rolling legitimately to attack his head, and where he had 0 DR.
Yeah, and then power armor, the way it works is not only does it have these damage resistances, they have hit points. So the actual power armor has hit points. So once you get past the damage resistance of the power armor, so let's talk about the torso, for example.
Yeah.
I'm looking at power armor. There's the frame. I'm just going to look at a T45 chest piece here, because that's the first one I came to. A T45 chest piece has 8 physical damage reduction. And then if you somehow get through the 8 physical damage reduction, you have 14 hit points you have to chew through. And then if you somehow get through the 14 hit points, you damage the armor piece to the point where the damage actually gets through to the chest of the individual inside. So you've finally bypassed all that armor, and you can now hit the person. But if you've got a creature that's only hitting 6 or 7 hit points and attack, they're pretty much impervious as long as they're trying to hit the chest. Now, The arms and the legs only have 4. The helm has 6. So the chest is definitely the toughest part. But not only do you have to eat through the DR, you have to eat through the hit points before you can actually start hitting the person inside. So power armor's pretty righteous as far as something to give to a tanky character.
Yeah, if there is like a big encounter with like a death claw or something, like power armor is pretty good. I recommend that if you're giving somebody power armor, that you also like create some like negative side effects. So like our character Pep, he got power armor pretty early on because that was one of the core pieces of his character. And I pretty much made the power armor socially pretty negative. That he was accidentally killing people because he would trip on them, and that's like dropping a full size car on someone. Would like break anything he tried to gently sit on if he failed a skill test. Like it is so powerful that to me it requires some backlash in some aspect, because like you were so tanky at that point that it would be I would need to homebrew something to really or really up something to attack and utilize that. Something that has like piercing 2 and rolls like 14 combat dice to be able to do anything.
Right. We're talking classic RPG design here, and stuff has to have a cost. And
Yep.
a lot of cases, there's a monetary cost to buy certain things. But even if you want to be able to cast magic, and you think about 5th Ed, Pathfinder, Starfinder, if you want to cast magic, you're not going to be good at physical attacks. You're not going to have very good hit points. There's going to be a lot of other stuff that you're not able to do.
Right.
And that is the cost. In addition, you're limited to what you can cast. So there are costs associated for you to getting access to these powerful rule breaking things, because the gist of this game is you have armor and you can attack, and we have to bypass the attack and stuff. You've given somebody that's like an additional set of hit points. Now,
it's very powerful.
Yeah, it's expensive. Like power armor is pretty pricey. Actually, I'm looking at it. It's not as pricey as I thought it would be. There's got to be something wrong with these numbers. They feel like they're an order of magnitude off. But, whatever.
This is why I don't have merchants very often.
Yeah,
or
because
if there is a merchant, it's very low stock. It's like I sell 10 things.
Yeah, there are guns that are more expensive than a basic armor frame, but the rarity is what makes it a problem. Because an armor frame's rarity 4, which means nobody's going to have it in stock, even though it is fairly cheap once you do find it. And you probably do have to find it. And then the cost is so cheap that they don't want you selling it. So it's worthless to sell. So you got to keep it. Game design. But yeah, you've created some type of armor that makes somebody impregnable. There does need to be some type of cost to invest in that. Either it could be a perk, it could be monetary upkeep, it could be the social connotations, like Dave said, because in our campaign, the Brotherhood of Steel sort of has a negative connotation in the Old Nolans area. And in Fallout in general, the Brotherhood of Steel is sort of an authoritarian state type thing. And they're, depending on how you feel about that, they might be neutral, they might be bad, they might be good, whatever.
Right.
But there are costs associated with that, and it's a good game design and good GM utilization there by creating a cost for such a powerful thing.
I think power armor is probably the most powerful thing. Outside of like a really well spec'd character with like a good modded weapon, I think is pretty. Like we haven't really run into that much because we've been using a lot of homebrew weapons and keeping it with ourselves. But to briefly touch on weapons, there's a number of different weapons. A lot of the stuff that we used for a while was starting equipment. We kind of homebrewed our own in to make world specific weapons for ourselves and give everybody a little bit more personalized flair with each character. But weapons and armor all have mods that you can really, we haven't really gone into any mods with our campaign, but you can really get into that and start like punching those numbers, start going through and saying, okay, what can I build? You can have a guy that's just like, my whole point is going to be repair so that I can mod weapons. So I don't necessarily need to be good at at like doing the maximum damage because I am like not only repairing my weapons, but I can do everybody else's and upkeep everything and put mods onto them. Like there's a whole world of that out there that we really don't touch that much. Generally, if you want to upgrade, in my opinion of what I've been doing, if I want to upgrade a weapon, I have just been giving a new weapon. But as we go on, like we're probably attached, like Clark is probably attached to his gun sword. And let's say he wanted to add like a piece of it at the bottom that's like he wanted instead of the gun being a pistol, maybe it's a shotgun. Like there is probably a mod that I could make to put it onto that.
Well, one of the weapons that I made, so for Servinia, I made a heirloom shotgun for her, and it was basically a modified shotgun. I just named it. And a fully modded out shotgun with, I think it was medium range, two-handed, reliable. So if you try to give me a complication, no, you didn't. Reflex, spread, and a fire rate of 4. It's already doing 8 damage. So if I invest more ammo, 12 damage with spread. And spread is nasty.
Yeah, it is.
So the weapons can get really stupid really quick. If I'm just going to roll I'm using Roll20 right now to see what that looks like.
Yeah, that's 9 damage. Plus,
well, did I get any spread here?
You got a whole 6 spread.
Oh my god. So 4 times 6 is 24 plus 9 is 33 damage. Now, if something had DR4 physical, all that's like gone. But something that doesn't have DR physical, that's really disgusting from a fully modified weapon. So, yeah, at a certain level, the crafting becomes pretty important.
Yeah, I would say so. Also, if your group is not invested in mods or in stuff, like you can always like dumb down monsters a little bit. That's pretty simple to do.
And as a game master, you can lie.
Oh yeah,
you can just lie.
I rarely. It's like, oh yeah, game masters lie. I rarely lie.
No,
I rarely lied about something because I love watching everyone fail. That's my favorite thing.
Well, so for some bosses, I've had some bosses that just what'd you do here? I've had some bosses that didn't last long enough, and for story reasons, like I'm not even going to give them like 50 extra hit points or something. I'm just going to. They need to take 2 or 3 more hits at least. Some of the other party members need to have an opportunity to attack.
Yeah.
With the Yao Guai fight, I was prepared to pump the brakes if I needed to, just because we hadn't really tried anything like that yet, because the Yao Guai was like a level 14, something like that, and we didn't really know what it looked like. A lot of the other combats we had, the party sort of tore through. So
most of my combat encounters have a light puzzle element that generally it's like that's the barrier to getting into doing damage.
Yeah.
And then also like you can do a 2-hour session for us. And then if you're not done with a combat encounter in like an hour and a half, then you got to be like, oh, that's an hour and a half combat session. That's probably going to get cut down into, half that time. So you need to be kind of cognizant of like how think of it more like an action movie than like a D&D game where like you can really Pathfinder, Starfinder, that stuff. You can really like get down and start grinding and start like really doing some, as the British folk call it, some grafting, getting down there.